Hey guys, so we flipped the airplane over, and of course the first thing you see are these awesome graphics, these stencils that I got from Cali Graphics. So these stencils up here, it did all these scallops, the pinstripes, and of course the graphics themselves, and the Thunderbird wings, and all this back here was really, I had honestly no idea how I was going to do it with the tail feathers. But I used the stencils that came in the Byron kit, and I sent them to her, and she sent me some large PDFs I printed out full size, and we went through about 2 iterations back and forth, asking her to stretch it this way, widen it that way, or narrow it up this way, and it worked out really well. She was real cooperative. There were some real tricky parts where everything comes together up here. All this needed to match up pretty flawlessly, which, although the Byron stencils were great, they're just guidelines. It wasn't real accurate, so these were all off. These, and this point here is nice and straight. Everything is pretty much perfect. And even in the back, oh, this was a little hard to get the overspray off there, but anyway, to get this arc perfect and all these other parts, man, it was a little bit of back and forth. But she was fast. As soon as I sent her the stuff back, I mean, she did it faster than I did. So, really, really great job. And I think you see, I mean, personally, I think it looks great. I couldn't be happier with it. So, a little problems here and there, but that's okay. So now the final source for a lot of comments, and you may disagree with me, but guys, I've been at this for a while, and is this fuel system here? And everybody has some great ideas, and I do appreciate it. But from what I've studied on this, people are so polarized one way or another. To me, I wanted to build this in honor of the guys that developed the Byron kit here. I mean, you can tell just from building this, man, they put a lot of thought into this thing, and there's a lot of trial and error. So, who am I to deviate that? So I wanted to start with it and let's see if it works. And so far, fingers crossed, things look good. And the way that I see that this works, this tank up in the top is always half full, whether you're inverted or not, and that's right at the center line of the carburetor. And so a lot of people don't, and yeah, it's a little hokey. There's a little stovepipe thing in here, and the clunk in the bottom. If you're upside down, it won't go side to side so well. It hits that stovepipe. But I get the gist of it, and it seems to work okay. And the issue with this manifold, I mean, one, it doesn't leak. I put a vacuum gauge on it. It's tight as can be. It shifts well. And honestly, the fuel goes right from here and right out there to the carburetor. So, and that's the only thing that's in play when this thing is running. The rest are all vent and for filling and so forth. So, I built a bench unit. It worked well on the bench unit. Put it in the airplane. It works well. I've got about 2 gallons of gas through this engine now, between the test stand and in the plane. I posted the video of it running last time. I promise I'll get a better one. I even took some taxi runs with it. Low speed, nothing too crazy. I just wanted to make sure the idle was reliable and I could steer it around, and I burned about, by the time I got my needle valve set really where I wanted it, which was the low end, which was the more finicky of the two. Once I got that really tuned in nicely, it was solid. I had half a tank just idling around, going back and forth up and down the street. That's pretty tricky to get to in there, the low speed valve. So, honestly, I'm about as close as I can get. I'm ready to give birth with this thing. It's got a the next step is to fly it. The one other thing I may do is I'd like to do some high-speed taxi runs. I'm just not so sure how it'll run continuously at high RPM like that. And even statically, I'm over 19,000 RPM right here. I don't know how much more this motor can put out, but it seems to run great. So I think I'd like to do a few high-speed taxi tests, and if it can maintain RPM for long enough for me to get off the ground and get some altitude, I mean, that's all I need, and we have a fighting chance. A few of these I do recall from my youth. The guys that did not do well crashed immediately on takeoff on the first flight. So, that memory is etched into my mind really well. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the tour. And maybe I'll do one more video showing the control surfaces working. Alright, thanks a lot, guys.